On the Donetsk front, Russia believed it had a perfect strategy to capture the strategic city of Pokrovsk. Russian command believed Kyiv would be helpless as their forces tightened the encirclement, capturing nearby settlements to hasten Pokrovsk's fall. However, they never expected Ukraine to use that very same tactic to counterattack, turning the tables to reinforce the fortress. In a bold and intelligent move, Ukraine turned a defensive position into an offensive one, creating precious breathing room for its army. While Russia's ultimate goal was Pokrovsk, Ukraine's incredible reversal focused on the Dobrapilya front, north of Myrnohrad. Russia's plan was close to success. The New York Times reported on November 13 that the Pincer was closing. Only a 2-mile wide escape corridor remained for Ukrainian troops in Myrnohrad. If sealed, they would be trapped in a deadly pocket. Theoretically, the Pincer movement, or double envelopment, is a simple military concept but extremely difficult to execute on the ground. It requires precise coordination and superior force, with 2 wings of an army moving around the enemy's flanks. The Russian army, and the Soviet army before it, has a long history with this tactic, exemplified by the Battle of Stalingrad. Despite heavy losses, the Red Army won a decisive victory with a pincer movement, encircling and destroying Germany's 6th Army. Russia's goal in Myrnohrad was to recreate a miniature Stalingrad. Ukraine's mission was clear: prevent that at all costs. And it all began in the settlement of Rodynske, another Russian target on the path to Pokrovsk. According to a November 14 report from Euromaidan Press, Ukraine's first targets were Russian drone operator teams. Through effective aerial reconnaissance over Rodynske, Ukraine pinpointed their location as they tried to set up a base in an old mine. But they didn't last long. Ukrainian command ordered a Su-27 fighter to strike with a US-made GBU-62 JDAM bomb. The smart bomb was dropped, completely obliterating the target in an instant. The JDAM was the perfect weapon for this attack. It's a guidance kit that turns conventional bombs up to 2.00 pounds into high-precision weapons with devastating power. However, Ukraine didn't stop there. Moments later, a second JDAM was deployed against Russian soldiers massing on Rodynske's outskirts. At the same time, Russian infantry tried to infiltrate Rodynske, taking advantage of heavy fog. Ukraine launched an armored assault. More Russian soldiers were found in an industrial area and were also eliminated by JDAMs, forcing a full retreat from Rodynske. The town was temporarily safe, but the main threat remained. Russia's pincer was still tightening around Myrnohrad. Russia likely thought Ukraine was too focused on Rodynske, but the airstrikes were just a prelude to a brilliant feint. With the success at Rodynske, Ukraine seized the initiative. They staged a simulated attack, making Russia believe a major counter-offensive was imminent. This move achieved 2 critical goals. First, it forced Russian forces onto the defensive, making them withdraw to consolidate their positions. Second, this withdrawal meant Russia abandoned efforts to rescue its own soldiers who had been previously encircled by Ukrainian forces. Euromaidan Press noted, it was a textbook deception maneuver: create pressure on one sector, force the enemy to divert reserves, and use the gained window to reinforce or extract troops from another direction. And Russia fell for it completely. While Russia was distracted, Ukraine secretly rotated forces in the besieged city of Myrnohrad, bringing in fresh soldiers and supplies. The coordination between fronts was key. Ukrainian troops were not just defending 2 towns but linking them through controlled logistics corridors. Perhaps Putin will see the irony. His own obsessive focus on taking Pokrovsk allowed Ukraine to reinforce Myrnohrad. So what happens next? Is Myrnohrad safe? The city is certainly not safe from attack, but it is now a much harder target. Ukraine's main goal was to hold out until the deep cold arrives. January is approaching, with average temperatures in Myrnohrad dropping below freezing. The bitter cold will significantly slow Russian attacks, hindering both soldiers and equipment. Myrnohrad has now been turned into a fortress. Ukraine may not expect to hold Myrnohrad or Pokrovsk forever. The goal is to force Russia into another slow, attritional fight. The battle for Pokrovsk has become a true meat grinder for the Russian army, with staggering casualty estimates. Former UK intelligence officer Philip Ingram suggests that in the battle for Pokrovsk alone, 135,000 Russian troops have been killed or wounded. British intelligence estimates that at the current rate, it would take Russia another 4 years and 2 million casualties to capture all of Donbas. These horrifying numbers show the price Russia is paying, even if they capture these cities. It may be a Pyrrhic victory. Analysts suggest that capturing Pokrovsk would have a negligible impact on the overall frontline dynamics, as other Ukrainian fortress cities still stand. That is why Ukraine's actions at Myrnohrad are so important. They prolong a battle that is already a quagmire for Russia.